I never expected a Thursday night to turn into the day my world shifted. My name is Ethan, and for the last 12 years I thought I knew everything about my wife, Claire. We had routines, inside jokes, shared struggles, and late-night talks. Or at least I thought we did. That evening, Claire told me she was going out for dinner with her friends. "Just the girls," she said, smiling as she slipped on her jacket. I nodded, not thinking twice. I trusted her, or at least I believed I did. But something in her smile didn't reach her eyes. A fleeting glance, a subtle hesitation, a tension that I couldn't name at the time. I shrugged it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. Later that night, while checking the house email, I noticed a confirmation that made my stomach drop. A hotel booking, Claire under her name for the night. My heart sank. My first reaction was disbelief. She couldn't possibly, could she? I felt a mixture of betrayal, confusion, and a strange clarity all at once. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I waited, observing her movements, listening to her words, catching every nuance. I wanted the full picture before I acted. As she prepared for her night out, I stayed calm. I asked casually, "Anything special tonight?" Her answer was smooth, practiced, rehearsed even. "Just dinner with the girls. Nothing fancy." I didn't respond. I just let her leave, watching the door close behind her, my mind racing. The apartment felt hollow, the air heavier, as if every memory of laughter and warmth had turned into a whisper of suspicion. I decided to follow subtle cues. I didn't confront her yet. I needed proof, clarity. And soon the pieces began to fit together. I realized that this wasn't just a casual night out. Something larger, more deliberate, was unfolding. By the time I had pieced enough together, the truth hit me like a freight train. Claire had planned an entire night away from me. And not just for dinner. Her actions suggested she intended to be somewhere else entirely, with someone else. I felt a mixture of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief, but also a strange calm. I realized that whatever came next, I had to act decisively, not emotionally. Betrayal, after all, is a weapon that can only be countered with clarity and control. The hours dragged on, each tick of the clock amplifying the unease in my chest. I went about my routine, checking messages, making coffee, pretending to concentrate, but my mind was elsewhere. Every sound, every shadow seemed amplified, as if the apartment itself knew the betrayal that was unfolding. Claire returned much later than expected, her hair slightly disheveled, her perfume stronger than usual. I noticed the hesitation in her step, the way she avoided my eyes. But instead of confronting her immediately, I stayed calm, observing. The silence between us became a battlefield, charged with tension. "Hey, the dinner was good," she said casually, like nothing had happened. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. My silence spoke louder than any accusation could. She paused, searching my face for a reaction. "Is something wrong?" she asked, uncertainty creeping into her voice. I leaned back, letting the weight of the moment settle. "Something's very wrong," I said slowly. "You told me one thing, and yet your actions told another." Her confident facade cracked. "Ethan, it's not what you think," she stammered. "It was just a night out." I didn't. I held up a hand, cutting her off. Don't lie to me. I know about the hotel booking." Her eyes widened, shock overtaking any attempt at composure. How?" I let her struggle with her words. "I don't need to explain how I know. I just need to say this. Your trustworthiness, your respect for our marriage is gone. Completely." A tense silence followed. She looked at me, finally realizing that this calm, measured voice carried far more power than anger ever could. The betrayal had already cost her the one thing she couldn't manipulate: my composure, my control. I stood, walking slowly around the apartment, each movement deliberate. "You wanted freedom tonight. You have it. But understand this: the cost of betrayal is never invisible. It reaches farther than you imagine." Claire's lips quivered, words failing her as the reality sank in. For the first time in years, the power dynamic shifted. She was no longer in control. She had underestimated me. She had assumed I would beg, yell, or plead. But I had crossed the threshold of emotional manipulation, and now I was in command of my response. I sat down, letting the tension linger, watching her crumble quietly. My next steps would be decisive, deliberate, and irreversible. I had learned something vital. In betrayal, clarity and control are the most potent weapons. Anger and despair are temporary. But measured action, calm, calculated, unwavering, creates permanent change. By late night, the tension in the apartment had reached a breaking point. Claire's confident demeanor had crumbled, replaced by a mixture of guilt, fear, and confusion. I could see her calculating, searching for words that might undo what had already been done, but there were none that could. I stood in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, my voice calm but unwavering. Claire, I need you to understand something. This isn't about punishment. This is about clarity. About reclaiming my life, my peace, and my dignity. She shook her head, a desperate plea forming. Ethan, I can explain. It's just one night, I swear. It won't happen again. We can fix this. I shook my head slowly, the finality clear in my eyes. Fixing it implies there's something left to repair. But you've broken the foundation. Trust, respect, and honesty aren't negotiable. You chose betrayal. And now you face the consequences. Her face paled, the gravity of my words settling in. 4 years she had held a position of control in our marriage, subtly shaping my emotions, manipulating situations to her advantage. But tonight all of that power evaporated. The calm, measured response I gave her stripped away her confidence and exposed the truth. She had underestimated the strength she never saw in me. I moved deliberately through the apartment, gathering our personal items and documents, each motion signaling that I was taking control of my life. Claire followed silently, her attempts at explanations dying on her lips. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to shout. My composure, my resolve, spoke louder than any words could. Stopping in the living room, I turned to face her one last time. You wanted freedom tonight. You have it. But understand this, freedom without integrity carries consequences. I'm leaving not because I hate you, but because I respect myself enough not to tolerate deception. That respect is non-negotiable. Tears welled in her eyes, and I could see the regret she had failed to feel for months. But regret doesn't undo actions. It doesn't repair betrayal. What matters is the decision I made, to walk away to reclaim my life, and to leave behind what no longer served me. Lies, manipulation, and broken trust. I left the apartment that night carrying only the essentials, but feeling lighter than I had in years. The liberation wasn't in revenge, it wasn't in confrontation, it wasn't in proving her wrong. It was in clarity, control, and the unwavering choice to honor myself above all else. As I stepped into the cool night air, I realized something profound. The strongest response to betrayal isn't anger, it isn't tears, it's calm decisiveness, unshakable resolve, and reclaiming control over your life. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly free.